Today we're taking a look at some new cubes from AoFu, and thankfully it's not more 3x3s. What we have here are the new AoFu V5 7x7s. And the last 6 to 7 months I've been really getting into all the big cubes. I was super excited when they released the AoFu V7 and the AoFu V6 and was just patiently waiting for them to release a 7x7, and finally it's here. So we have 3 versions here, which is a little bit different than the 4x4 and 5x5. Those had 4 versions. These 3 versions, we still have a single, double, and triple track, but all 3 versions come only in frosted. Now I know there's gonna be a lot of people who are disappointed by this and a good amount of people who are actually really excited for this. I don't really mind either way if it's UV or frosted. I do have a preference towards UV coating, but I'm more concerned with the overall performance. So let's dive right into it and check it out. So we're gonna go ahead and start off with the single track version. Just as a little bit of a refresher, single track essentially means that there's only magnets between the corners and the edge pieces, no ball core, nothing like that. So I was gonna do first turns on this, but something I've noticed is that this cube is really small compared to the previous AoFu WRM, and it might actually be smaller than the Meilong. Putting them side by side, we can see the Meilong is just a bit taller, not by much, but a little bit of height on it. I am interested to see how that affects the actual performance in my turning on this cube, but I actually kind of like smaller sized cubes. I think they did a similar thing with the AoFu and the AoFu as well. So now for the turning. Okay, a little bit of fumbling at the start there. I am getting a few catches here and there, but overall not too many. The cube does feel very buttery smooth, which is really nice. It's got a bit of a kind of a softer turning feel. The cube feels a little loose, and maybe the magnet strength, it could be a bit stronger. Checking these outer layers. Yeah, they're pretty weak. Definitely could be a little stronger. Okay, so it gets stronger as you move in each layer. So the outer layer is the weakest. You go one more in, it's the middle strongest, and then the innermost layer is the strongest of all 3, which is definitely nice. It does help to make it so, especially on 3x3 stage, the other layers aren't moving when you don't want them to. Part of it is just that I'm not used to the smaller size, so my thumb keeps catching on 2 layers instead of just the outer layer. But I think that's something that, as I get used to the size, will become less and less of a problem. It is a bit loose though. I would definitely recommend tightening the single track version, which will definitely help with preventing those layers from misaligning. But overall, it feels very nice. It's definitely better than the Meilong out of the box. The Meilong is, pretty much as budget as it gets. But is it better than the AoFu? I'm not too sure. I think I just need to spend a little bit more time with this cube. I'm leaning towards that it'll probably be yes, it's better than the AoFu out of the box, but I'm just used to that bigger size, and the smaller size is throwing me off just a bit. I will say that the fact that it is smaller is probably helping with the stability, even though it is deforming a little bit as I make those turns. As you can tell, the cube does feel pretty malleable. As you can see, I'm not putting that much force into turning the cube, and it doesn't really want to stay in that cubic shape. But tighten the cube, throw in not necessarily a heavy lube, but something a little bit heavier than lunar, you put in a little bit of Martian. I think this cube would feel really, really nice. All right, now we'll move on to the double track version. Again, as a reminder, the double track has those corner and edge magnets, but it also adds a ball cord to the mix. So here we go. Oh, just immediately better. Feels a lot more stable. The outer layer's still a bit weak for me, just magnet-wise, but they do feel a bit more stable. I'm not feeling like those inner layers are gonna move too much while I'm doing something like 3x3 stage. This cube still feels plush and soft. There are a couple of times where I feel like maybe it could be a bit more stable, but overall, this feels like something that I could just tighten the cube, throw in a little bit of lube, and this thing is good to break world records. All right, now we've got the triple track. One more refresher here. The triple track essentially has those corner and edge magnets. It also has a ball core, but it also has these kind of hidden edge magnets as well. So overall, this thing should be the most stable out of all 3 and probably feel the most snappy. Oh yeah, that's significantly better. Oh my God, dude, those inner layers almost don't even want to move. and it's still got that like smooth kind of soft turning feel that I liked in the other ones, but it just feels so much more stable. Normally, like, I think people would typically go for the double track because they don't like an overly strong magnetic feel in their cubes, especially with the AoFu V7 and the AoShuang V6. But I think because of how much more stable this cube feels, I think it's definitely worth going for the triple track as opposed to the double track. Honestly, just out of the box, this feels like it needs virtually no setup. I don't think I'm gonna tighten the cube at all. I'm just gonna add a bit of lube like Lunar or something, keep it feeling on that faster, smooth side. But honestly, I think the triple track is, I might be making a bold claim here, but I don't really think I am. This is the best 7x7 ever. But of course we have to see how these all feel when they're set up. So I'm gonna go ahead and set up all three versions, single, double, and triple track, and see how they feel. So for the single and double track versions, I'm gonna do a very similar setup. I'm going to tighten the cubes a bit and probably tighten the single track just a bit more than the double. And then for the lube, I'm going to do Martian on the innermost layers, so both of the inner layers, and then for the outer layer, I'm gonna do a little bit of Lunar, mainly to maintain that kind of faster, smooth feel for that 3x3 stage, while the inner layers are gonna be a slight bit heavier. That way they don't move around unwanted. And the triple track is gonna be a little different. I'm not even gonna tighten the cube. I'm just gonna go straight to lube and do Lunar on all three layers. Just a nice small amount, just so the cube feels even, smooth, and still retains its speed. So we've now got them all three set up. I'm gonna go ahead and go one more time through each one, see how they feel, and truly determine, are these the best 7x7s on the market? The single track version is up first. This cube I thought was a little underwhelming out of the box, but with a setup, feels amazing. It's incredible. It feels a lot more stable. I did have to put a fair bit of like heavier lube like Martian into those inner layers to make sure they weren't moving, especially as I'm moving those outer layers. I just want to keep everything aligned. So it does feel a little sluggish, but I mean, that is the trade-off when you're only getting the absolute basics of just corner and edge magnets. But if you're looking for something that feels really nice, has that smaller, more compact size, has a nice bit of stability to it, and just has the basics, this cube is definitely a great option. And if this was the only version out of all three of the ones that we have here, it would definitely be my new main, beating out the AoFu WRM. But of course, there's not only one option, we have three. So moving on to the double track, with a setup, this thing is incredible. Now, it was already really good out of the box, and I preferred it a lot over the single track. It had more stability, and it just felt nicer to turn for whatever reason. The turning feel was, I don't know, more pleasant, I guess. With the setup, it really retains that soft, smooth turning feel. I didn't have to put too much Martian in there to really keep those inner layers from moving, so they don't feel really sluggish. They're moving at a pretty good speed. But I think for most people, and especially those at a higher level who have much more accurate turning, this really would not be that big of a problem, if at all. So overall, performs really well, feels great with a setup, and even out of the box, it feels really good. And now last but not least, we have the triple track, which I have to say is my absolute favorite out of the three, and definitely my new main for 7x7. This thing feels incredible. Out of the box, it was incredibly stable. I didn't have to tighten this cube at all. I put Lunar on all three layers. I wasn't worried about them becoming misaligned, especially during 3x3 stage. And honestly, I think this cube is the most reliable out of all of them, and the most comfortable I felt ever while solving a 7x7. I don't know what it is about this cube, but I just feel better while I'm solving on it. I feel like I can look ahead better. I feel like I'm turning faster. Just everything seems to be coming together with this cube, and it just feels incredible. And I wouldn't recommend any other 7x7 but this one. This is, in my opinion, the best 7x7 out there. As I'm recording my final thoughts, I've already spent some time with this cube, and I've absolutely destroyed my PB mean of 3, which used to be like 306. I've brought it down by like 7 seconds to a 259, my first sub 3, and I'm still working on single. I've gotten close. I've gotten 251, 252. My PB is 250, so I think that a sub 250 is in my future and definitely achievable with this cube. Hey, it's Jaden from the future, and we were going to end off the video here, but we recently had the chance to have someone who's actually good at 7x7 come in and give us their thoughts. So welcome Maxwell Sai to give us his thoughts on the triple track version of the AoFu V5.
Hey guys, I'm Max, and I'm just a random guy who happens to be the Nevada state record for 7x7. I have a 225.72 single and a 242.09 average. There's things I like and don't like about this cube. One thing is like the turning is like, it feels like the cube is very locked together-ish. I don't know, it's just my cube is tight. I mean, like, my cube did pop once, but like, it wasn't that bad, but it's just like when you turn it, there's a lot of friction, and I guess that can be like improved with lube. Besides that, the layer balancing is pretty great, but sometimes when you turn the outers, then the inners will like turn with them, and it's kind of annoying. And like the magnets between the inners and like the outers are kind of like too similar, so it's kind of difficult to differentiate.
Do you think that the layers moving, like having multiple layers move, do you think that's due to the size and like your fingers catching, or is it happening like independently?
I think it's happening independently. I think it's the magnets. Like literally sometimes when I just like pick it up and do turns, it'll start moving the inners with it.
Okay.
But like it happens like 5 times over like 70 solves or something. The cube is also like hella flexible and like it just deforms everywhere.
Yeah.
Sometimes. But besides that, I think it's pretty much like flawless. Like the size, I mean, like I'm a kid, but like it's a good size and I can turn fast, but it's also locky sometimes. I think it needs more break-in. Besides that, it's just perfect. I don't know what to say to it. It's just what I've always wanted from AoFu for like a long time, and I've been stuck with the Meilong, and the Meilong is sluggish in the inners, and this like fixes everything.
So that's pretty much it for this video. Thanks to Max for coming out and getting on camera and giving us his thoughts on the triple track version of the AoFu V5. But with that, I hope you guys enjoyed. Please leave a like and subscribe, and comment down below which version you'll be picking up, and if you even think it's an upgrade from the AoFu WRM. Anyways, I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.